Well, hello folks, out here at Lake Day. In this video, I'm going to show you how I find places near me to fish from the bank. Now these tactics will work whether you're local or you want to go, out of your area, out of state fishing, whatever. And I'm watching my rods over here, by the way. So they will work any place. I'm also going to show you the tools I used to help me find where at on those bodies of water I want to fish. Stay tuned. A lot of information here. You got any questions, comments, leave them below. I still look at maps and satellite photos of my own area. Every once in a while I find a place that I've overlooked 100 other times. So sometimes I just spend an hour or so following rivers, lake shorelines, looking for little obscure roads and stuff. But I'm going to show you how to do all that in this video. Let's say you live in Marshalltown, Iowa, and you're wanting to find local places to fish from bank. What I do is take Google. You can take Google Earth or Google Maps. I find Google Maps just faster and easier to use, but Google Earth works well. The thing with Google Earth, you can go back sometimes 20 years and look at something. So if you're Marshalltown, Iowa, right here, we're going to look around, and it looks like all the, there's some, there's some small lakes, rivers up there. Here we go. There's a river right there. What is it? Iowa River. Now, I've heard that's supposed to be a good flathead river. But first thing I do, I look for parks. So I'll put in, you got to be able to type Marshalltown, Iowa. It takes me right there. And I will look for, I'll type in parks. Or a lot of parks are going to have water. Riverview Park. But I bet that's on the Iowa River. What do you want to bet? They bring you up, show you pictures if there's any there. Sometimes there's not, especially in more rural areas. Okay, we got the typical park stuff. But I'm looking for water. Is this, there we go. Looks like a deer on it. Okay, there's the river. Okay, so we know we're on a river now. Disc golf, bike trail, tennis, basketball, 6 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Dog park. I bet they allow fishing though. What do you want to bet? Okay, so we know there's a pond or something there. That's where you get your bait. So we know there's at least one park there. And like I said, a lot of these parks will have little ponds. What about Peterson Park? Anyway, I look at these photos. Not only will you see if it has water, which that doesn't seem to have, you'll see the structure. Let's go see if we can find a lake. Three Bridges County Park. There you go. There's another one. Okay, let's show the pictures. There we go. Well, on the river. Looks at the boat ramp. On the river. So I will go to these places. I will look for parks. Parks give you good access to the rivers. Okay, well, I don't like Fish River, Don. Okay, we can zoom out. Here's a lake over here. And you can do this. Say, oh, well, I don't want to drive over 60 miles. I don't know. Is that a lake or a settling pond? Looks like a settling pond. Probably a marsh. Sometimes Google, a lot of times they will show you what these are. We got the Arnie Bend Wildlife Area right there, and that looks like a lake. It's something, folks. Also, what you can do is go down here to layers and hit the satellite view and just see what you're kind of dealing with. Now, that's a marsh. And you keep zooming out, there's a lake up there. Union Grove State Park Campground. What do you want to bet that's right there on some lake? That is a lake right there. Probably Union. I'm guessing it's called Union Grove. So here we are. I'm guessing it's called Union Grove. Yep, Union Grove Lake. Okay, we can see that there's several parks around there. Then I will go here to satellite view. And I'm looking for access. Now, obviously around this little lake, there's a lot of access. The campground, whatever this is over here. Beach Drive over here. I'll go back to regular view. That's the way I find it. Parks, like I said, most parks will have some form of water. Even in town, it may be just a little old pond. Greencastle Recreation Area. Those places like that, there's a little bitty lake right there. You tap on it, it's going to give you the pictures. Is there a lake? Oh, yep, looks like some kind of creek or, oh yeah, there we go. Totally probably fishable. I'd almost bet you. Okay, get that out of the way. We're on the satellite. Now I'm fixing to show you the second thing I search for to find bank fishing spots. I also use Onyx Maps if I'm unsure if the land around that is private or not. Here in Oklahoma, a lot of our lakes and rivers are uh, surrounded by Corps of Engineers land. A lot of people think every lake and every river and every creek in Oklahoma is controlled by the Corps of Engineers. No, it's not. No, you don't know what you're talking about. Many are, especially in the eastern Oklahoma, but not all of them. Especially the farther west you go, fewer and fewer are. So you traipse on private property, and you thinking, well, I've seen people make comments on Facebook. Well, all the rivers and lakes in Oklahoma are controlled by the Corps of Engineers. You can go on in it. No, you can't. That's a good way to get a trespassing violation.
He's a game board.
Let's move on to the second thing I look for. Now, the second thing I'm going to look for in the area, we're going to use Marshalltown, Iowa, as the example here. This will work in your area, will work in any area. When I go out west, it's how I find a lot of places out west to fish. I'm going to look for boat ramp. Most boat ramps are public. There we go. Iowa River access. Now this is street view. Not quite sure where I'm at here, but that looks like, excuse me, that looks like Iowa River right there. I think there's a big old flathead right there. So yeah, I'm not sure where the boat ramp is right there, but if we go back, let's see where was it? Iowa River. Google's wanting to be stubborn. I'll zoom in. I will use some satellite view. Look at there. There it is, right there. If you questionable, you would use Onyx Maps to make sure who owns that. I would think, state of Iowa or Iowa Department of Natural Resources or Wildlife Department, whatever they use. I'll go back. There were others here. McCoy Landing. I don't know how far that is away from. There's McCoy Landing down here to the lower right, and upper left there's Timmons Grove. Oh, that looks like a good spot. There again, I'm going to look at the photos. Looks good to me. Park there. Let the kids play while you catch all the fish. Looks fishable to me. I'm going to back out of it. I'll go satellite view and zoom in there. Okay, where are we at? Where's that river at? Now, I've seen the river in the pictures. And, oh, there it is, right there. Okay, yeah, the road goes right down there. Dry Branch, Iowa River. I would bet, since that's a boat ramp right there, you can fish this under the bridge. That's my second thing I look for when I'm looking for places to fish from bank. Okay, the third thing I look for when I'm looking for places to fish or, access to bank fishing is I look for cemeteries. Two of my favorite spots I have to access by driving into a cemetery that borders Corps of Engineers land. So now this doesn't work in all areas. Maybe they were there well out of the lake until it was impounded and the water came up near them. Doesn't look like there's any around here, but you will be surprised, especially back east where they have the large impounded lakes. When they were impounded, the water raised up, came up, and now there's a cemetery near the lake. Now I will also say this: use a little respect. Those places I access the lake to, you got idiots who will park in the cemetery and just be as slobby, trashy as they are any other place. If you can't go there and be respectful, just don't go there. Go to your regular public spot and be a slob there. So anyway, cemeteries, they're not a lot of people think about looking for them, but a lot of times the ones I go to also have a big wide, basically people pull off the main little road going into there, pull off the side. So that brings me to another point. The next thing I look at where I'm going to fish, if I'm going out to Montana, then I obviously will look on Montana's Wildlife Department page. Here's Oklahoma's. A lot of times they want you to get out and go fishing and go hunting. So they will have resources most states will have resources on their wildlife department pages of where to find. Here we have disability fishing access. You can select region and all these lakes. A lot of them are just small lakes that can be some good fishing in them. We have a close to home. There we go, close to home. A lot of these close to home ones, they have restrictions. You can catch enough fish out of these things if that's your goal to have a nice dinner. Especially if I'm going out of state, I'm checking the website, not only for the regulations for that state. I am not listening to the experts on Facebook or YouTube or anything else tell me, oh, you can do this in that state, or you can do this on that river, or you can use a cast net in a Yellowstone any place you want, or so. I'm not listening to that. Boggles my mind the people who go, well, can you run a trout line across the Yellowstone River in Montana? Did you go to the regulations and look? No, you go to Facebook, and there'll always be those who don't know, but they're going to act like they did.
I named him after his daddy.
He got a daddy named Forrest, too?
If you need to know information, it's like I told my daughter, go to the source who made the information you want. Not secondhand, third hand, fourth hand, fifth hand information. So anyway, the wildlife departments of the state that you want to fish in can have some great resources. There's one right there. These lakes are Oklahoma Department of Wildlife lakes. There again, those YouTube and Facebook experts that say all the waters in Oklahoma controlled by a Corps of Engineers. Well, right here is 18 lakes that aren't. And like I said, you go farther west, those rivers and lakes out there aren't controlled by the Corps of Engineers. Rant on that is over. So yeah, I always check the Department of Wildlife lakes. Some states it's called Department of Wildlife. Other states it's called Department of Natural Resources. It ain't hard to find, folks. Now, one of the things I like to do after I've got several places picked out on the maps where I want to go look for fish is I get out and drive. Sometimes I throw some rods in the truck. That's if it's local to me. Now, obviously, if it's out of my area, I'm not going to spend the day just driving 200 miles to look, or out of state to look at a place. But if it's local, I'll hop in the truck, throw a couple rods in. Maybe I fish, maybe I won't. But I'm looking at these areas. I'm also looking at new areas. Maybe there's a road cutting off the main road going in that I didn't see on the map or something. I'll check that out. So anyway, here we are at the lake. One of my fishing spots I like. And I've come today with no bait. I don't think I can really winger good with them trees around. Maybe I can. We lie to ourselves, don't we? Maybe I could wing her through them trees. We know how that works out, don't we? But I think I can. I think I can get on the other side of that tree. Glad I wasn't sitting there when that tree fell. Because I have been sitting there before fishing. So yeah, so get out, take a look. Okay, another tool I use is this GPS nautical chart. It's iBoating, I guess it's called. It's great for a lot of lakes. Rivers, it has to be a pretty big river. But I find, like we were just talking earlier, Union Grove Lake, and what I did simply is go up here, type in Union Grove Lake, and it gives you a list of lakes here. Union Grove in Iowa, and there we go. I will zoom in. I will find, right there's a boat ramp. So let's just say we want to fish by that boat ramp. There's also looks like a fish tractor or a dock there. Oop. A lot of brush piles. Apparently they put a lot of brush piles out in Union Grove Lake. Okay, that's I don't know what that is. I don't think it's a brush pile. But this will give you the contours. Or you can get the Garmin Navionics, or like Garmin, you can get an app on your phone or the like laptop, desktop, Navionics, and it will give you these. Are they 100% accurate? No, but they're pretty close. It gives you a clue of the depth, because you don't know if they've had a lot of rain up here. Then obviously these numbers are going to be higher. If it's a drought year, these numbers could be lower, but at least you know that's a pretty shallow lake right there. I just not realize that. But there's a point there. It's going to be, to the, what is that, west? Probably west of the boat ramp. I wish this would give you a satellite view, but it doesn't. And you can go around the lake, finding your lake access, and coordinate it with this map, and you can tell what you'll be fishing before you get there. Here's another boat ramp over here on this side. That's 2 boat ramps we found. Again, you can see the contours around here, and that looks pretty good. But that's what I use, tools I use to find. Once I find a spot in the lake, there's another boat ramp there. Now that is a good looking point. That's a good looking point. That fishing pier right there. I'd like that point right there. The Iowa River, probably not on here, even if it is. Sometimes you'll run into this right here on small bodies of lakes, or like community lakes that hasn't been mapped, or like this Iowa River that's really probably too shallow. There's nothing that shows up. The Iowa River just, it's probably shallow in most areas. It's not going to show the contours of it. Anyway, just another tool I use to find places to fish. My final tip is, a couple years ago I was up in Michigan. Had the weekend. Found myself with a weekend, and I started searching. I was for a place, and I found St. Joe River. I think that's what it's called. And I started doing the same basic research here. Then I started going on to Facebook, searching St. Joe fishing, just searching the internet. St. Joe fishing in southern Michigan, best places to fish in southern Michigan. And I got a lot of places. I read the comments, and there were some videos of people fishing the St. Joe River. And I read the comments, because even if the presenter doesn't tell you where he's fishing, sometimes the people in the comments will. Same way forums. I read the forums, I search. Come sneaky snake right there where my rods were just. So I searched for that. In fact, I sniped a place from a YouTuber, because he showed a drone picture of him fishing, and behind him was a very noticeable landmark. I eventually found that landmark and knew exactly where he was fishing at. So I do stuff like that. That's why I find places to fish when especially away from home. So don't discount, don't expect everybody to go to a forum and ask, hey, where's the best place to fish in Dardanelle, Arkansas. We're out on the Arkansas River, y'all catch big blues. But if you watch enough videos and read enough forums, sooner or later people start dropping little hints of where they're fishing, or where they're catching fish. So don't disregard that. I look at forums, Facebook, Reddit. Just do a Google search, and a lot of times those places will come up. It can be a rabbit hole, but no, don't come down here. So anyway, that's another good tip. So thank y'all for watching. We'll catch you later.